Skelton, the father of three boys who disappeared in 2010 and were never found, has now been charged with murder. Let's get live to Fox News' Hillary Golson. She's in Oak Park with the latest on this. Hillary.
Yeah, Roop, as you know, these three Skelton brothers have never been found despite searches that span Michigan and Ohio. And for a very long time, John Skelton, their father, was believed to be the prime suspect. In fact, the lead investigator of Michigan State Police said that he had no doubt earlier this year that it was Skelton who killed these three boys. As you mentioned, their bodies have never been found here. And suspicion started to grow, as you might imagine, when Skelton, back during the investigation, back to 2010, was telling investigators conflicting stories about what happened to these boys, where they were. He even sent investigators to a schoolhouse in Ohio and a dumpster there, even turning over some evidence that apparently police said turned out not to be true. Now John Skelton is facing 3 counts of open murder and tampering with evidence in the deaths of 9-year-old Andrew, 7-year-old Alexander, and 5-year-old Tanner Skelton. The timing of the new charges comes just days before Skelton was due to be released from prison. He's been held in prison for about 15 years. He never returned the boy to their mother. That was the only conviction, though, that prosecutors could get him on. I spoke with criminal defense attorney Bill Barnwell about the implications. Well, the evidentiary standard would have been the same the first time around, so why did it take so long now to charge, unless there's new evidence? Does that suggest definitely new evidence here?
One would think perhaps there could be new evidence, or it could just be new eyes on the file. The powers that be right now might be looking at this saying, hey, the previous administration should have charged this case. There was enough. There was probable cause. Let the chips fall where they may. Let's take this to a jury and let's see what happens.
Do you think the case was hampered by the fact that Michigan State Police wasn't investigating from the outset? Because Morenci is a very small police department.
It is always more helpful when you have a larger operation investigating major crimes. If there are any problems with the investigation, I 100% guarantee you the defense counsel is absolutely going to pick that apart.
So, as you might recall, taking it back to 2010, this was Thanksgiving. This was a case that rocked not only Michigan, but certainly reached across the nation and even made some international headlines. The boys were staying with their father. At the time, their father and mother were having issues, and so he was supposed to take the kids back to mom. That never happened. They disappeared, and again, never been found. Back to you, Roop.
Yeah, this is obviously a long time coming for the family members. I know, so many of us covered this and remember talking to the mother who just kept on wondering why this was taking so long. I'm sure she's relieved, perhaps feels a little bit vindicated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that that's probably how the family is feeling about this. Obviously, there's so much legally that still has to be unveiled here. You're talking about the declaration, for example, of deaths with these boys who have never been found. That's really a civil determination under Michigan law. So this question of posthumous criminality may come into question. There is no guarantee at all that there's going to be a conviction here, despite what I told you about the lead investigator, who feels very, very strongly that Skelton is responsible for the deaths of these 3 boys. There's a lot of legal nuance here and some legal anomalies that may come into play. Coming up, that criminal defense attorney had some interesting things to say about the fact that the boys were declared dead earlier this year and how that might play out in terms of getting a conviction and the open murder charges, which are also something that will allow certainly the process to come to a conclusion about what type of murder charges should eventually be applied, Roop.
Yeah, a lot of nuance, as you say, to wade through that could lead to one of 2 decisions here ultimately, and we'll be watching it very closely. Hillary Golson for us live tonight. Thank you.